1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on episode 32. And I have nothing clever to say about that.
Oof.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you doing this week, guys? I haven't actually managed to catch up with you much this week because I've been busy as heck.
Yeah. And you've been playing Valorant. And our interactions on that game seems to mostly just consist of swearing.
No.
Oh man, no,
Yeah.
I've been doing all right. My work's been busy, but it's been getting better. Like things are easing off a little bit. I think February was just a really rough month. Getting everything prepared for the year.
Yeah, I've got like two different kinds of design work. I've got note writing. I've got this and the D&D session tomorrow. It's gonna be a long weekend.
Weekends are busy. I mean, and look at that. It's a successful bit of networking. You got design work through me.
Indeedles. One of the two things that I'm doing, yeah. Oof. Anyway, moving on to the podcast.
Yeah, let's moving on to just you guys don't want to hear about our daily lives. Yeah, so one of the first topics that I had this week was something that it only occurred to me because I recently got like a digital camera, like an actual nice digital camera. One of these like 24 megapixel Sony digital cameras. And I've been planning on trying to use it as like an alternative webcam if I need like a high def face cam for any of the videos I do.
Gotcha.
Not that people need to see me in higher definition. Anyway, the thing it made me think about was something someone told me. God, it would have been back in college. A guy I knew who actually went on to, kind of be like an amateur DJ for quite a few years and did that for fun. He was talking about how like there's the limits to like audio files, how they end up kind of getting ripped off a lot of the time. Like, how much audio quality difference are you going to notice if you have these, specially braided, gold tipped, whatever audio cables? Is it really going to sound that much different that it's worth like the extra $50 per cable or however much it would have cost?
Yeah.
And it made me start to think about the same thing in the video and the camera field. Because with this camera, I notice, like, mostly I just use the camera on my cell phone. It's pretty much good enough. It's all I really need. But then when I started using this camera and like testing it out and taking pictures, aside from the fact that it sounds really cool to have a camera that actually has a shutter that clicks like an old school like real camera, it like I notice a difference in like the quality of the pictures, but that could just because I always use like cheap cameras. I'm wondering if you got like this camera versus one of those like $3,000 cameras with the big ass lens on the front of it and everything like that. How much of a difference would you notice? And do you like how much of an expert do you need to be to notice?
Right. Did you find an answer to these questions?
No, I just thought of them this morning. While I was just thinking about them this morning and last night when I was fiddling around with the camera, and I thought we could discuss.
Yeah, it's always that weighing up between cost and quality.
Because you're gonna,
and how much you're going to use it as well.
Well, yeah, you're gonna get diminishing returns after a while.
Yeah.
Like it's like the whole, like the jump from, 480p to 1080p was staggering. The jump from 1080p to 4K was staggering.
Well,
But from all accounts, from what I've heard, the jump from 4K to 8K is like, okay, we're reaching the limits of what your eye can
see. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're getting diminishing returns.
Arguably say that's 1080p is like that's all I need. I wouldn't say 4K is really necessary.
Even I've had a 4K monitor before. Like I still use it as a secondary monitor because it's got a lot of extra screen space because of the resolution.
Yeah.
But for my primary monitor that I use for gaming and whatever, it's just a 2K monitor. It's slightly better than 1080p, but It doesn't have put quite the strain on my computer that like 4K would. And having done 4K, it's really I had the same experience as you. It's not really that big of a difference.
No.
When you're playing games,
Like,
at
I
least.
guess, yeah. If you're at that high, like, if it's your career or something to be good at CS:GO. In fact, CS:GO is not even a good example because you never really get that far away. If you're
No.
like playing PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, then yeah, I guess that one little blip in the 3 mile distance away mountain could get you better at the game.
Yeah. But then,
Fuck that.
yeah. But then, if you're talking about a shooter game, I've found that high refresh rate tends to be better than high resolution.
Right, okay, yeah, for the instant reactions.
Yeah. But again, all of this ties back to like your ability to actually perceive the difference. So I think that's a good point. Like the pro gaming scene with their like they're at the peak of the game, and they're usually like young, have good eyesight, and so they're going to be able to maybe perceive those differences. But then I don't know what I'm talking about with good eyesight. I feel like half the pro gamers I see have glasses.
What, you mean like gaming glasses or?
No, I mean like glasses. I can't see glasses.
Okay, okay. I was actually talking to someone the other day, someone I don't know too well, but he was saying that he's considering getting like gaming glasses to reduce the strain. But I don't see anyone wearing them these days. So are they just like a piece of naff tech that never really did that much?
I'm sorry, what the fuck is gaming glasses?
You know what I mean? The tinted blue ones that stop. I don't know.
I did not know that these existed.
Yeah, I mean, have a quick look if you want.
Okay, yeah.
I know.
Waffle on something. I gotta look this up.
I remember seeing Danny from the Game Grumps, I think, was wearing them at some point. But
did
other than him, I've never seen these, like, anyone else wearing them, because
How did I never know these things existed?
I feel like they're just a pair of, like, sunglasses, and that's it.
Gaming glasses.
Yeah. How much do they cost? Because I imagine they're not cheap.
They're actually pretty cheap. Okay, here.
Oh, really?
Some of the really nice ones are like $65-$70, but most of the ones I'm seeing
Okay.
are like $25, $20. This one's only $11. I wouldn't buy those.
I mean, yeah, it just sounds like... Yeah, like, what do they do?
I don't know.
What do they do? But you'd like them, because they're, like, mostly aviators.
Okay, here's one for $50, and it's labeled for the Xbox One. What do you plug it into the console? This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Maybe, yeah, here it is. Blue light blocking glasses, Intercept Onyx, 64% blue light protection, 100% UV light, anti-reflective to protect and reduce eye strain and dryness.
It's not worth buying now, guys. What you want to do is wait a couple of years, right? Then get the KFC gaming glasses. Now they are going to have, like, inbuilt turkey dispensers.
Oh my god. Yeah, I've always had really, really good eyesight, but I do spend a lot of time on the computer. Maybe I should get a pair. Maybe, I don't know if they do anything.
I have actually been getting, like, eye strain recently, but for a start, wearing anything while I've got headphones on, like headwear, is just painful.
Oh my god, what we need. So you know how I have those the Bose like sunglass headphones?
Yeah.
Just those, but gaming glasses. So the headset is the sunglasses.
Yeah.
Bose, get on that.
Release
Release some gaming glasses.
Burn me.
I mean, I'm joking about that, but that might actually be something that they could market. Because, I mean, just, like, get SteelSeries on it or something like that. Make, like, a, $250 pair of gaming glasses that also have, like, headphones and speakers built into them.
I feel like for a start, they'd be heavier than normal sunglasses. Second
Well,
of all,
they are heavier than normal sunglasses, but they're
more
not.
often than not, I need to turn up the brightness on my screen and not turn it down.
Oh, I have the exact opposite problem. I have my brightness near the minimum setting, and it's still too bright.
Oh. Like, I'm always having to close my curtains and stuff, which is definitely making it worse for my eyes.
Yeah. Well, there's a problem. Glare.
Yeah, but playing like any kind of shooting game, you just lose so much contrast if you're not in a dark room.
Yeah. Well, so turning kind of this back to, I think the visual thing, yeah, that makes, and the way I've moved my computer and everything, now I do have the windows at my back, so I have been getting some glare sometimes. But where was I going with that thought? Oh, right. So just bringing it back to like where we started talking about like kind of the
Camera.
yeah, like the quality like drop off, like
Yeah.
how much difference are you really going to notice, or are you just looking to get like a bigger number on your camera? But bringing it back to audio, I think that's one where I definitely have much better eyesight than I have hearing. Especially because like my ears get clogged all the time with water or whatever, and so I think I hear things a bit more muffled in general. But so I think that's one thing with like headphones and headsets. Like they got like the 7.1 surround sound and like all this other random crap that's supposed to make the sound better and more crisp. I can't tell the difference between like a $50 pair of headphones and a $300 pair of headphones. They sound the same to me.
Right. I don't know. I've always had quite good hearing, and fairly good eyesight. I've been quite blessed, I think, especially considering how much I play computer games.
Yeah.
God, man, remember when I was back in college making like optical illusions and stuff, because that was just a fun thing that I was doing. That hurts the eyes, staring at them for a long time.
Those will give you a headache because it's your brain trying to make sense of whatever the fuck is in front of you.
Yeah, still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But
yeah. On that note, I think I'm probably living proof that staring at computer screens and TVs for long periods of time won't necessarily hurt your eyesight.
Yeah, it's like smoking. You might not die from it.
Did you just you compared playing video games to smoking?
Yeah, it's a bad habit.
I mean, I guess. Except I think one is okay in moderation.
Well, yeah.
But then again, who knows?
Kind of. Well, no, it's not. Don't smoke, kids.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Kaiser.
Yeah.
Completely different topic, right?
Yeah.
If you wrote a book, what would it be about?
Oh, I don't even have to think hard about this. I've tried to write a couple books. So
What would your magnum opus be, though?
my magnum opus would be... Okay. There are two books that I've always really wanted to write. One is sci-fi, one is like near future fiction.
Okay, yeah.
The sci-fi one I wanted to write about was a book about a generational colony ship. So essentially, a giant kind of ship that's made to travel between solar systems slower than the speed of light. So it necessarily has to have all the facilities to allow people to, live, grow, have kids, die, become educate new generations. Because it would take presumably hundreds of years to travel between solar systems.
It is very hard to get the facilities to die in space. Yeah.
Shut up. What I mean is, like, in that kind of an environment, you can't waste any resources. So you wouldn't be able to go through normal burial rituals in that kind of an environment. You couldn't even throw them out into space. You'd have to necessarily recycle the bodies.
Yeah.
Not to get into the gritty details of it, but the book that I had mapped out, and I actually wrote the first couple chapters of this years ago, but I never went anywhere with it because I couldn't find like a compelling thing I needed some overarching plot to kind of tie the characters together. Like I had the characters, I had the setting, but I didn't have the plot, and so I ended up shelving it. But it was going to start off like somewhere at the midpoint in the journey, and it's about kind of the intership. It was going to be about the intership like politics and dynamics, and then potentially if I wrote anything past that, then it might get to actually arriving at a destination. But it was going to, at least the very first book was going to be entirely about what was happening on the ship.
I'm surprised you haven't written a D&D campaign about this kind of stuff, because I know how much you love sci-fi.
I mean, yeah, I don't think I've ever found a D&D-esque game that... There was a steampunk one that I tried a few years back, but I haven't found a good sci-fi one that's... I'd want to actually adapt like a story to.
Yeah, I know that there's like a lot of love around the like Star Wars D&Ds.
I didn't even know there were Star Wars D&Ds.
There's a lot of rule books for that kind of thing. And I've watched actually a few campaigns from YouTube.
Yeah.
And they do look really fun. But yeah, I think I would probably go for a more... I mean, again, I would definitely be... If I ever wrote a book, it would be a fiction. Because if you look at my library of books, it's almost like all fiction.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of, non-fiction, like history stuff, but sorry, I interrupted. Go on.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I don't have any... I'm not specified in one field enough to have the authority to write a book on anything, I don't think.
Yeah, that's non-fiction. You really do have to have... It's either going to be some kind of a, biography or bullshit self-help book, or it's going to necessarily be something that's quite advanced in a field.
I'm writing a Payday 2 manual. It includes all the cheats and all the secret passages.
Oh my god.
No, I would probably do something based around more modern day. I'm not a massive fan of going too far future tech wise, because I feel like a lot of people do that and they get carried away and they're saying like, now everyone's got a pocket-sized space laser that can blow up a planet. And I like limiting characters because I think it gives them more character as opposed to.
And I feel like if you write distant sci-fi, there's a lot more chance for things to kind of be a bit more fanciful. Like it gets harder and harder to, for lack of a better term, ground the story in reality.
Well, as the story goes along.
Well, I'm thinking like distant sci-fi. I find always tends to devolve into space magic.
Yeah, it does eventually, because they're like, okay, at least with, I guess I'm thinking about like films and TV series, that kind of thing. Because what the fuck just happened to my screen? It's just like refreshed my computer. That's weird.
Oh no, we're losing him.
The Expanse, for example.
Yeah. Which was a book series.
Was really, really, really good up until the rock was hurtling towards Earth, and I felt like everything after that was so far has been kind of lame.
What season are you on right now?
I'm on season 4, halfway through it, I think.
Oh yeah, season 4 is the weakest one. Wait till you get to season 5.
There's the whole hyper interdimensional gateway blob, and it just... Maybe it's because the detective's gone and I love the detective, but all the raw, intense grittiness has gone, and it's been replaced by everyone has battleships now, and the main squad can't die. Like, none of those characters are going to die until like the end of the story at this point.
Yeah, I mean, But
Sorry.
just again to reiterate, season 4 is pretty weak. Everything you're missing, from the previous seasons, they bring it back in season 5.
Yeah, I mean, in episode 2 of the first series, like the medic dude who you thought he was like one of the main characters, he's safe, and he gets like his head blown off, just sitting in a seat because a piece of debris flies through a cabin that they're in.
Oh yeah.
And then that's the last time you ever see something like that. It's shocking, it's gritty, it's, oh my god, this happened. Now it's, oh, and the main character can see ghosts. And he's got a troubled past inside of his incredibly, I don't know.
They killed off the detective too. He was another main character.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why, like, I feel like a lot of people liked him, that's why they brought him back as a ghost. A little bit.
I mean, keep in mind that these were novels long before they were the actual series. So that was a major plot point. That would have still been there. The novels actually follow in, like, not first person, but they follow the perspective of Holden. So
yeah, who's one of the weakest characters in my opinion.
Well, he was the generic everyman to drive the plot forward.
Yes.
Or not necessarily the everyman, but the every hero, I would say. Like, he goes through the hero's journey in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like, he fucks all the women. He always has to be the guy that goes in alone. Don't worry, I'll save you, and then he doesn't fucking die.
Wait,
and he's got like very little personality. Go on.
Who else does he get with besides Naomi?
The chick right at the beginning.
Well, but that's different. That was like,
yeah, those are the two female characters that interact with the main group.
Okay, what about Bobby Draper? What about Chris?
Bobby Draper as a unit. She's not going to sleep with anyone, because if she slept with someone, people would think, oh, she's not the strong, independent woman that we thought she was.
What about Christian Abissaral?
She's slept with 2 guys, and she's more of a lad than anyone else in the fucking series. Certainly more than the fucking main character.
Christian Abissaral, she's a man's man.
She got balls.
She is. I love that line, and I'm sorry,
the one that I quoted yesterday.
Yeah, cover your ears, but this is one of the best lines. She's talking about one of her political opponents, and how her political opponent is just promising the world to anyone who will vote for her, and she's just like, oh yes, free ponies and blowjobs for everyone. It was so good. Christian Abissaral is probably the greatest character I've seen ever.
Yeah, because she comes across, when you initially see her, as a sweet old grandmother.
Yeah, but
then she has like Rambo in her heart coming out.
Oh yeah, she is like, I said this when I talked about The Expanse, but just a shrewd political operative, and she is brutal and efficient and cutthroat. Oh my god. Anyway. Don't want to go too deep into The Expanse again, because I beat that horse to death. But
why did I go into it originally anyway?
We were talking about
Sci-Fi.
books. Yeah, you were talking about.
And there was a YouTube video I was watching. This is not to do with The Expanse. And it was a guy who was talking about Star Wars and the latest trilogy, right?
Yeah.
And he was saying, it's actually really goddamn stupid, right, to have a gun that can blow up a planet. And this is because a single Star Destroyer can wipe out all life on a planet on its own within the space of about a day.
Yeah.
With the straight up guns it has strapped to the side of it.
Yep.
And then you've wiped out the planet's population, you've sent a message, and there's an entire planet down there you can strip mine for resources.
Yeah.
And okay, granted, the Death Star, it was a big fucking message, and that's essentially what the main purpose of it was, is to say, like, if you disagree with us, we'll shoot you.
Yeah.
But now, in the okay, you haven't seen the last one. Can I do spoilers for the last one?
I've already had it spoiled to shit.
Okay.
Because I just didn't give a crap.
Fair enough. Anyone out there, spoilers for the last Star Wars film?
Yeah, what was it, The Last Skywalker, The Rise of the Skywalker?
I don't know. Anyway, they get to the end and they're like, oh my god, Palpatine's not really dead. And he has this fleet of like 150 Star Destroyers, right? But not just that, these Star Destroyers have the power of the Death Star, as in each one of them can blow up a planet.
Yeah, that plot point strikes me as the basically like they in the writing room, it was the end of the day on a Friday. They couldn't think of a big hook, and there were drinks to drink. Like,
yeah,
that's what that strikes me as. They were just like, what's better than a Death Star?
Right?
100 Death Stars.
Exactly, which is so dumb.
I mean, there's a reason that I've harped on about the Star Wars, the new trilogy, but like the first movie was just like a generic kind of boring rehash of A New Hope, which was fine. Like they were trying to, echo it, like echo the old movies, give homage to it while also bringing on some new characters, and it looked like they were kind of off to an okay start. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad. Then the second movie pile-drived any chance they ever had of success into the dirt. Ruined all of the things they set up in the first movie and destroyed any sort of plot continuity. So the third movie was dead before it even started filming.
But another thing that was mentioned was that they're like, oh my god, we've got to destroy all these things to save all those millions of different species out there. But in like the last trilogy, you don't see like any other alien species pretty much. You don't see any of the people you're trying to save, as it were.
Wait, are you talking about in the current one?
In the last trilogy of Star Wars.
The one that just came out?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
There's no great coming together.
Well, don't they have like a montage at the end where like a billion different ships all come together that they managed to gather in a week by promising everyone Fritos or something like that? It was just
the Rebel fleet. Yeah, I mean,
that's
not really the people that they're protecting though. Like, we don't see any of the quiet little peaceful towns and villages that would otherwise be nuked.
I do want to go back to that point you were making though, from the video about destroying a planet. So there are two things. One, and you alluded to this, is that the whole point is to show overwhelming force to intimidate people out of rebellion, right?
Yep.
Two is the idea that you can't mine the resources after you've destroyed a planet. It's actually going to be a lot easier, because now what would have been one ball of rock that you have to go down and strip mine and dig into the core, you've actually broken it apart, so the densest, most valuable metals are now exposed in asteroids.
Yeah, but they are all drifting out into space.
That's the, they could probably find a way to get some resources. I don't know, catch some rocks.
You need like a net of ships around the planet, which would be a lot more than just like a single Star Destroyer.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I get the idea. The Star Destroyer, I think it was all about the overwhelming force, which is something they probably retroactively decided that they needed to explain, because I imagine when George Lucas wrote the first movie, his thought was, that'd be pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, but it hadn't really been done before.
Yeah.
But anyway, so back to my choice of book.
yeah, go on.
I was saying I wouldn't do any of that. I would do like a modern day, or maybe slightly future, where it would be probably like a person who either started or became involved in like criminal activities in some way. Because I love like mafia kind of stories and like The Godfather and stuff like that. Someone who started with nothing and then kind of rose through the ranks over time. I think that'd be really cool. But maybe like an alternate universe where, I don't know, water is scarce or something, so it's not just fighting over money. It's
What?
more...
That's not an alternate universe. That's like 15 years from now.
Well, there you go.
So that kind of I love how we spent about 10 or 15 minutes talking about the stories you wouldn't write, and like 3
Yeah.
talking about the story you would.
Well, and it's also kind of talking about the stories that you would write, so...
Yeah, no, I'm just fucking around. But so the other novel that I had actually worked on for quite a while. This started off as a short story, a series of short stories that I wrote just for a friend who was like, she made a bet that I wouldn't be able to write like a serious novel or a serious story that involved like superhuman abilities, like superpowers, like X-Men kind of shit.
Right.
And as I wrote the story, I realized that I actually really liked the setup. I had a really good like plot arc and character arc for a couple of the main people. And the super abilities were things that I made them work, and I made them work in a serious way in the book. But
What was the reasoning behind them having the superpowers?
so that was going to be one of the plot points. And it was going to be revealed kind of near the end. Well, either near the end
Are you able
of
to spill?
one of the books. What?
Are you able to spill the beans?
I don't want to spill it too much, but essentially it was going to come down to genetic experimentation.
Okay.
I had
The
two,
Nazis, excellent.
but it would have been like where the plot actually, but what form that would take and what the origins of it was, and that was all something that I was still in the process of working out. But it was set like, I want to say like near future, but not super near future. Like humanity hasn't really ventured outside of the solar system. It's mostly still centered around Earth. Maybe like 50 to 100 years in the future. Various... I had to invent various like global situations. I spent a lot of time fleshing out the geopolitics of the world because I wanted to... The future fiction books that I've read that I found that are the most successful are the ones that they don't just give you a big exposition dump, because that tends to be fairly shallow. They have like a really well developed, fleshed out world that maybe a lot of the details never make it into the novel, but those details shape the way the characters interact with the world and are occasionally referenced or sensed by the way that the characters are acting.
Okay.
So it was going to follow just one particular character who, through some trauma or another, she wasn't able to, remember her past. Like, not amnesia, but like suppressed memories from some kind of deep trauma. And over the course of it, it was going to be slowly revealed that she was essentially not in hiding, but just trying to run away from her past, because she had been involved in what essentially amounted to like a PMC group, private military contractor, who, and again, this goes in. This is how it ties into the superpower aspect, or the ability, superhuman ability aspect, because superpower sounds weird, or it sounds a little bit more juvenile than what I was going for with this book.
Okay, so do they have like individual talents that are
Yes.
specific, or is it okay?
Yeah, and I tried to make them as grounded in reality as I could, so it's not like people can fly or some shit like that. It's like I think one of them was the person was able to just channel and redirect heat energy, so they could say pull heat from one area and increase it in another. And I think somebody else had really incredible like senses. Like I tried to keep it like close to reality. I didn't want it to become like I don't know, like Marvel or Dragon Ball Z. I didn't want a superhero character in there, who could just blow shit up with their mind or something like that. That seemed silly.
Yeah.
And it worked out pretty well. I think when I dropped when I stopped working on it a few years back, and honestly, the only reason I stopped working on it was because of, well, real work. I'd like to pick it back up at some point. I had like 9 or 10 chapters written, so a fairly significant amount of it was worked out. But yeah.
Interesting. Well, that topic went on a bit longer than I expected it to be honest.
Well, it's something that I really enjoy. Like writing is something that I've always enjoyed.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh my god. I'm hiccuping. I'm sorry. Any final thoughts before we close out segment 1?
Well, it's kind of... Yeah, I'll tell you in the break, it's fine.
Okay. Alright, this is going to be the end of segment 1 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you'll hear us momentarily for segment 2. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on segment 2, our media segment, and Blue, you are the only one that's been watching something this week that isn't anime. What's going on?
Yeah, I've been, in my lunch breaks, I've been flicking over to watch Good Omens, which I think I started talking about last week. I was saying that I found it was free on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So I've been watching it with E, and mixed review. Okay. So, it's a very weird show, and I think it's definitely been... sorry. It's been tailored towards a younger generation.
Okay.
That being said, there's still some quite horrific things in it.
Oh boy.
Not like scary, just like a lot of the demons and stuff. They've got like gross slime crap coming out of their heads.
Yeah, I'm always kind of torn on this, because on one hand, I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe some of these more graphic things should be kept a little further away from children's media. But on the other hand, I'm thinking about the stuff I watched when I was a kid. Like, fuck, I watched Captain Planet. There's some really brutal gore in that show.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's got... So the main two characters, Crawley, played by David Tennant, and... what's the angel's name? Begins with an A. It's like a really old-fashioned name.
Archibald. Aaron.
Honestly, Archibald wasn't far off, I think. Anyway, I'll whatever.
Go on, yeah.
They are like bros, as it were. And at the beginning of creation, Crowley, who actually he was known as Crawley originally, and he changed it to Crowley because it's less like creepy.
Mm-hmm.
He was like the snake that tempted Eve, right? And then the angel was like they didn't hate each other. I mean, I don't think the angel's really allowed to hate. Anyway,
his name was Azrael.
Sorry, say again.
Azrael? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Azrael.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Aziraphale. So Azrael.
Aziraphale. Yeah, that's the one. And yeah, so they kind of become like buds kind of things, which is, obviously very strange for a demon and an angel. And way down the line, over the course of history, they like keep bumping into each other, and they'll just like take each other out for dinner, kind of thing. Aziraphale, at one point, he's like, "Oh, there's this great restaurant nearby. I must tempt you with." Oh wait, that's your job, isn't it?
It's like a buddy cop drama, but with an angel and a demon.
Exactly, and the demon's got like snake eyes, and he wears cool shades, and he goes around this like old-fashioned car that's been souped up. Aziraphale, on the other hand, opens a bookstore and is a really nice person. And then, yeah, it comes to like modern day, and they're like, okay, the plan is to now have the Antichrist be born, and then the Antichrist will wipe out humanity, and heaven and hell will go to war with each other.
Yeah.
And heaven and hell both want to go to war with each other. Aziraphale and Crowley do not want war, because then the entire like universe is gone, and then it's an eternity of doing nothing, basically.
Yeah.
So they're kind of doing their jobs. Crowley to make the Antichrist be as evil as possible because he has to, and Aziraphale's trying to make him like see a better side of people. Anyway, it turns out that like over the 11 years that they've been hosting this boy, trying to make him good or bad, they actually had the wrong boy. And the boy was just like raised by a normal family. So hell, they're like, okay, it's his 11th birthday, time to give him the gift that will turn him into the Antichrist. We're going to send them a hellhound.
Mm-hmm.
And the hellhound goes down to Earth, he finds the boy, and then the narrator, who really is not helping, I think the narrator kind of detracts from the series, is like, okay, and the hellhound shifts its shape to whatever like the boy wants, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this massive hellhound becomes like a Jack Russell that's then like following this boy around, and just becomes a good character from then on, because Jack Russells are all good people, apparently, good dogs.
They're adorable.
Yes.
They're also very, very
snappy.
energetic.
Yeah. It's just a fustercluck of a series, really. There's witches, witch hunters, but they're both like kind of ridiculous. There's an old lady from medieval times who basically can tell the future, and she writes it all down in a big book that gets handed down generations. This family makes lots of money, and like they basically have a book telling the future. But then some of the things that are written in there are just like really stupid. Like at one point, a witch hunter is in a witch's house, and they're like hiding under the bed from like a hurricane. And then the book basically says, and then they fuck. And so they just start fucking under the bed during a hurricane, and it's so out of left field. And it just... Go on.
You said this was aimed at a younger audience.
Yeah, it doesn't say, and then they fuck. It says, like, and then the witch hunter said about all the things he'll regret not doing in his life, kind of thing.
Oh my god.
And then she's like, oh, kiss a girl? And then they start kissing, and then suddenly it switches to shots of, like, them poking out legs and stuff from under the bed.
Oh god.
Even though they just met, and it makes no sense for them to be doing that, it happens. Then there's something about, like, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse riding out, nuclear bombs.
Can I just
all sorts.
jump in here? Like, this is something, and it's taken me a while to kind of crystallize my opinion on this, and to put my finger on what annoys me about so many, like, new kind of modern TV shows and movies and things. Mostly TV shows, actually, not really movies so much. But everything seems to be just drenched in an overabundance of irony and sarcasm. And it just comes across as shallow. Like, that whole sequence you're just like there, it's just like, oh, it's ironic, and it's, look, because it's a witch and a witch hunter, and it's like, they just met, no, look what happened here, and I don't know.
It's like they had too many creative thoughts and not enough time.
Yeah, exactly, and they don't take the time to develop any of them.
No, not really.
Irony can be a good element in storytelling, but like any other good storytelling element, it needs to be handled with moderation.
Sorry.
I haven't seen it, but that's just, I've seen so many series now that do that. Do that exactly, that sort of same sort of setup where it's just like a complete non sequitur that's done just for like a quick laugh or something like that, and it's just ugh.
Look, it's a very funny series, and I would absolutely advise watching it as a comedy. Especially with the interactions between Crowley and Asriel, because goddamn, you want to ship them.
Well, that was one of the things that made me want to watch it. Like, I never actually got around to watching it, but in the previews and stuff that they showed, like, their interaction seemed hilarious.
Like the angel who's trying to be good, but he knows he's got a bit of devil in him, and equally the devil who kind of just wants to hang out and be chill and be friends with an angel. And obviously they can both like do miracles and they help each other out. There's one scene where Aziraphale is during World War II, and he's in like a church in England, and there are like these secret Nazis, and he's like, "Ah, yes, I've brought you those special books you asked for." And then they like turn on him, and they're about to kill him, and he's like, "Ah, I can't use any miracles right now because generic reason." And then Crowley comes into the church like hopping because he's like on sacred ground, and it like hurts. And it's like, "Oh, it's fine. I've actually got did a little miracle of my own, and a bomb is going to be dropped on this church in a minute."
What?
And through a miracle, the only two people who won't be hit are the demon and the angel, but all the Nazis will be blown up.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's, again, very funny, just the story's not great. The CGI is not great. The friendship trumps all. Outside of Crowley and Aziraphale is kind of wet.
It sounds like it would be, yeah, just something that would be just like a fun. It's sounding more and more like a fun, like popcorn kind of watch. Like you sit down, you watch it, you get a little bit of entertainment out of it. You don't, think too hard, and then you walk away.
Well, the thing is, at the end of the series,
Yeah.
it actually gets kind of interesting because like they've stopped the world being blown up and like yeah. But the angels and the devils still want the war, and so they bring in they like capture Crowley and Aziraphale relatively, and they're like, okay, we've got someone from the devils in hell are like, we did an agreement with the angels. The angel's going to bring us a vial of holy water, and we're going to make Crowley basically disintegrate with acid in hell. And equally, the angels were like, right, we got someone here with some not sacred, like hellfire to burn Aziraphale to death. And it has like a whole big setup for more things to come, and then the series ends, and there's no more.
All right, didn't you say it got cancelled?
It didn't get cancelled because it was never like, they never said there was going to be a second part. But a bunch of people tried to cancel the first series. A bunch of religious, I want to say fanatics, kind of, because I mean it's a comedy.
Well, I mean it's one of those things. It's the same thing with whenever a sacred cow is threatened, then people always their reaction is to, I don't know, try to lash out at the thing. People don't like getting made fun of, and or having the things that they care deeply about made fun of, which is why you always end up with, whenever it's something to do with their religion, you have these groups come out.
It wasn't just like all. Actually, no. They wanted to cancel it because it promoted Satanism. And frankly, who wouldn't want to be a devil if David Tennant is, But, like, they show the good side as well as all the bad sides. So, like, Aziraphale is, like, the perfect angel, essentially. Well, not perfect angel, but it shows that no one is perfect, and even those who seem perfect can be kind of really corrupt. Like, the angels up top, they want a war. They want humanity to end so they can have their war so they can win it. In the same way that the demons want exactly the same. And it's not saying that the angels and the demons are the same, it's saying that, like, because the Aziraphale doesn't believe in them, and the Crowley doesn't believe in the demons. It's about free thought and free speech kind of thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, it does sound like it. There's a surprising amount of nuance to it, but yeah, my point was just that people will find a way to be offended, which I think that's something that I think is just becoming part and parcel with everyday life. Is just like I find myself watching things and going like, oh, that's gonna offend somebody. Oh, that's gonna offend somebody. And it's just
there is
figuring out who is gonna have
There is, like I said, it is very children friendly, but then you get a scene where like a guy has to commit suicide in order to talk to death. Right?
Yeah.
That's pretty dark. I mean,
it is. It reminds me of. Oh my god, what was the show I was hearing about a few weeks? Have you heard anything about that animated series Star Trek Lower Decks?
Is that a porno?
No, it isn't. It's a like really shittily animated cartoon Star Trek series that got greenlit.
Right.
And I remember hearing a lot about it like maybe it was probably more than a year ago now, and then I never heard anything about it again. But it was like, again, clearly aimed at a younger audience, but it also had like it was also like steeped in gore and weird adult humor, like all over the place. Not like in the way that Shrek had adult humor in it, because Shrek was one of those movies where there was adult humor. There was humor for the parents watching, essentially, but it was phrased and it was disguised in a way that the kids wouldn't get the joke. They would think it was funny, but not necessarily for the same reason the adults would. Like the whole, Lord Farquaad being Lord Fuckwad, and the castle being a giant phallic symbol, but they never come right out and say it. This is an example of that. Like, the show was being made clearly for children, but there's like just. I think in the previews there was a scene where somebody is like. They're panicking because there's some kind of a disaster on the ship, and they're trying to do like a comedy scene in the sick bay, and somebody's giving somebody a heart massage, and there's blood everywhere, and like there's scenes where people are just like, I don't know, walking around naked for no reason. Just like it seemed like a show that was aimed at children for adults. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like it was a show for adult children.
Any good children's show should have something for the adults, because otherwise they just won't want to watch it.
It should, right? But my point is, I feel like it used to be a bit more subtle. Like, there were shows I watched as a kid that I thought were hilarious. I thought they were awesome, and then I watch them again as an adult, and I'm like, oh my god, there's all this other stuff in there that I totally didn't get as a kid, but it's still entertaining. This is the opposite. Like, the kids are going to get exactly the same thing out of it that an adult would. But it's just, I don't know. I'm not articulating this well. It's lazy and it's crass. Like, that's the way I think I would describe the humor in it.
Cheap jokes, toilet humor.
Yeah, cheap jokes and toilet humor and gore.
Yeah.
That I feel like, happens a lot with some of these newer shows like that. I think that's what I was trying to get at when I was talking about the irony thing earlier.
Yeah, that definitely does happen. So I was talking about holy water like melting demons, right? Mm-hmm. So Crowley at one point gets hold of some holy water, and he's like being chased by the demons, and he fills a bucket with holy water, puts it above a door. Yeah. Right? Like, literally the most childish thing in the fucking universe. And so this demon gets covered in it, and then the demon fucking melts in front of him. Like, it's a very childlike prank, and then a character melts on the screen in front of you. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this says about. What does this say about society?
You would love it, by the way.
I'm thinking that when I was trying to articulate my point about that Star Trek series just now, I think
Yeah.
I'm liking that phrase. I think it's a children's show made for adults, or like, I don't know if that means the adults are childish or they're just fully grown children. It just, oh god, that's a rabbit hole that I could go down for quite a while, and I don't want to I don't want to turn the end of this segment into just philosophy corner.
Well, what have you been watching then?
So I've been watching more Dragon Ball Z, but I don't want to talk about that because other than one brief thing, I found myself fast forwarding through bits because they have a very annoying habit of the first 5 minutes of an episode being basically what happened in the last 5 minutes of the last episode.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
But just like rephrased or something like that, just to make it more dramatic, because it's meant to be watched like, oh, you're watching it once a week, and so it kind of rehashes it a little bit.
Yeah, but you binge watch them these days, don't you?
Well, it's been out forever. Yeah, it was made for TV, but now I'm watching it on Blu-ray. But the thing is, they also have things that didn't annoy me about this series back when I watched it are annoying me now, because there are huge segments where there's clearly something that they need to do. There's an extremely obvious answer, and then they don't like figure it out for 2 episodes, and I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna fast forward through bits of this.
That's right, yeah, when you've worked out the plot ahead of time and you're just waiting for them to catch up, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been probably more than a decade since I've watched this series, so it's not like I still remember everything that's going to happen. I remember some of the major plot points, but there's plenty that I've forgotten. Anyway, so that's that, but what I really wanted to talk about was I'm back to watching Vikings.
Okay, what series are you on, and how many are there out?
There are 7 total, and I'm at the end of season 4 now. Oh my god. So,
okay.
And again, I'm not going to just talk about what happened. The reason I'm bringing it up, because I know I've talked about it quite a bit, is because of just one very specific thing. A major character is dead, and I'm still on edge, like, wait, did he actually die? Because he was such a major part of the story. I'd be like, he would leave just a massive gap if he was dead, but for all intents and purposes it looks like he's dead.
No, okay, when I said yay, I am always happy to hear when a series or show has the balls to kill off one of their characters, because it adds so much more drama to the rest of the series. And yeah, you lose a character, but it's a sacrifice, and it gives the audience the realization that no one is immortal.
Well, and that's something that... So, they've done it before in the series. I think in season 2 or 3, there's another really major character who's just been central to the plot up until that point, who just gets like completely taken out. And they do a very good job like leading up to it and giving him the kind of send-off that he deserves from the series. This time it was similar. Like, even in the episode where it was happening, I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. And it seems to have legitimately happened. So now, basically, you've got this one central character who had tied all of the different plot threads together. He's now gone. So you've got all of these disparate, groups and different pieces of plot, and I'm wondering how they're going to bring them all together, because they've lost that unifying figure. And now you've got just all these factions, and they've done some serious shit to each other. So without that one unifying figure, I'm wondering if now are all these factions going to fall into infighting? Is there going to be like a civil war arc? Like what the hell's going to happen? So I'm curious to see what happens going forward. But a couple things. There's this one character, and it's an example of where they had a very well written, like, uh, strong female character, registered trademark. Like, I feel like that should have a TM after it whenever someone says it. And they've kind of pushed her a little too far. Like, now she's got an army of warrior women, and she is just wantonly betraying allies and killing people. And the show is trying to play it as if what she's doing is a good thing and justified, and, she has every reason to do it. But in reality, if you pay attention to the plot, everything that she's doing is, like, really fucked up. Like, she, like, outright murders an ally who had basically been very loyal to her. He'd done something fucked up early on, but in my mind, I thought they'd given him, like, a redemption arc. But no, she just murders him. And then, like, she attacks and betrays, like, one of her longest standing allies, takes over their land, and then just shoots them in the back after she released them. Like, I don't know if they're trying to make her... Some of the more, like character conversation moments make it seem like they're trying to make her a sympathetic character, but every time she takes a major, like, political action, it just comes across as psychotic. So,
right.
It's one of those things. It's just kind of there's plenty of, like, betrayal and backstabbing and stuff in the plot, but when that stuff has happened with other characters in the show, it's been kind of consistent, right? They keep a consistent tone. This one character, with her, they seem to be gyrating wildly in tone. It's like, one minute she's this, caring and compassionate leader, and the next moment she's a sociopath.
Yeah.
And it just, I feel like there's some inconsistency in the writing. There's been other inconsistent points, like whenever they go over to somewhere in Europe, or in the UK, which at this point is just England, they haven't gone anywhere near Scotland, they have, like, they've been very consistent, and the writing's been good, and some of the plot twists have been kind of, like, just really interesting, but it's because those moments are known to history, and so they're basing it on history.
Are there any bears?
Are there any bears? I have no idea. Maybe?
Oh. Sorry, I didn't know why that thought came into my head. It just did. Sorry.
there might be. I think they might go hunting at one point and kill a bear.
Okay.
But just...
Wait, hang on. So you said it's set in Scotland, right?
No. It's set in Norway.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, England, not Scotland. Sorry.
Huh?
Wait, Norway. Sorry. Fuck. Blah. Words.
So,
I'm looking at something and thinking another thing. Norway, yes.
So Norway is where all the Vikings are coming from, but
yes.
They, like, the major plot point in the first season is that they make it to England, and it starts with the raid on Lindisfarne, where they take down that monastery and, rob it. It also involves some raids on Paris and some raids on Spain later in the series.
Damn.
So
I never knew they went down that far.
Yeah, the Vikings made it all the way into the Mediterranean.
Oh.
So my point is, when they're actually portraying historical events where they go to these places and raid, the plot tends to be very consistent and very accurate to history and very well done. Where they get weird is when they are back in their homeland and they're trying to show what the Viking culture was like back there.
The social.
Because it's not very well known. They have a general idea, but they didn't really write anything down. It was all, like, spoken, like, word of mouth and legends and stuff like that.
They're filling in blanks.
Yeah, and when they have to fill in blanks, they can get a bit inconsistent in tone and, yeah.
Gotcha.
That's all. Yeah. I talked about that longer than I wanted to, but that's the reason I wanted to bring it up again, is as I'm getting further and further in the series, I'm A, that one major plot point, and B, I'm noticing more and more weird inconsistencies in the writing, in terms of characters and in terms of, like, just overall plot.
I see. Well, I was
Dead?
very sci-fi. I've just remembered basically something that I was going to speak about today on the podcast, and I completely forgot about it up until now.
All right.
I think it might be something that might take a while, so I might have to just tease it and then do it next week instead.
Okay. What is it?
So you know how all this week Alicia's been having to learn about feminism.
Yeah.
So one of the articles she had to read was from a lady who was. The title of it was "I rewatched Love Actually, and I'm here to ruin it for all of you." Basically, she's making it. She's gone over Love Actually and said, "Here's all the ways that the." This is dangerous territory. That's why I'm picking my words, right?
Yeah. No, take your time.
It's a very poor look at Love Actually, I think, based on the things I've heard from Alicia, and just seeing the language that she uses in the description and the comparisons she makes.
So you're here. Let me see if I can kind of rephrase it and tell me if you think this is an accurate portrayal. The person who's writing this article is somebody who's probably taking the most disingenuous interpretation of that movie's plot.
Yeah, so she's looking at a lot of the scenes and saying, "This is what I infer from this scene," and it is batshit bananas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this goes back to the whole offense thing I was talking about earlier when I was mentioning the Bad Omens. I feel like if you try hard enough, you can find a way that anything is actually bad or offensive or meant with malintent.
Yeah.
But sorry, go on.
I was just going to read you just the opening stanza, really, of this of her document, whatever the hell you want to call it, right?
All right, go on.
Okay. So, also, I'd like to state at the beginning, I have not watched Love Actually.
Yeah, neither have I.
Okay, good. Well, I might have to watch it this week because some of the things that she's saying quite funny. Anyway, right. So,
It's unironically became an advertisement for the movie.
well, I mean, I'm currently staring at a big picture of Love Actually's like box art, except they replaced Love Actually with Shit Actually. So I don't know how much of a
Oh, that is top tier humor right there. All right, go on, read it.
We open in a fucking airport. A fucking airport. Of course, Love Actually, the apex of cynical, vacant, faux-motional, cash-grab, garbage cinema, would hang its big metaphor on the bleak, empathy-stripped cathedral of a turgid bureaucracy known as the airport.
I like airports.
Of course, and then... of course, sorry. And then, of course, Hugh Grant's voice pipes in to tell us how inspiring and magical the airport is. Because when you're at the airport, you can't help but notice that love is actually all around. The fucking airport. If that's not the epitome of unexamined privilege, declaring that the airport is your favourite place, then I don't know what is. Welcome to Love Actually.
Wait, what?
That's her start.
Alright, first of all, Hugh Grant is wrong. Love is not at the airport. It's mostly swearing and sweat. But I like airports. Because they get these cool like windows. There's usually they're built like a maze, so it's fun to walk around. There's all kinds of cool shops. You can like, if you like are like, oh, I've got like 20 minutes for a plane. I go over there and get a fucking $10 beer. But it was, I like airports.
Just the Argon-esque description, right? Bleak, empathy-stripped cathedral of turgid bureaucracy.
Yeah, I don't...
I mean, quite the way to name an airport.
Yeah, she clearly had a thesaurus on hand, but
yeah.
Just...
The apex of cynically vacant, faux-motional, cash grab garbage.
Cynically vacant.
Cynically vacant.
I don't think that's true.
Faux-motional.
personally, maybe Hugh Grant's point there about it, being full of love. I mean, it could be. Like, maybe, somebody's coming back from a long business trip
exactly.
and their family's there, and it's like, oh, I haven't seen my kids in years, or not years, but whatever.
Yeah, it's a connecting point to places all over the world. I can understand how there's a lot of different ways where you can interpret love being around an airport.
You could see an airport as like a hub of interconnectivity. It's a symbol of our global network of all the peoples coming together. Like, there are plenty of ways to interpret it, and she is taking the most negative interpretation.
Yeah, like that's exactly what I say. Like, we obviously we make jokes and we talk about things that we're not massive fans of, and we do kind of slag them off a little bit, but I think we're fair with what we say.
Yeah.
This document, like, it says here, Bill Nye and his Technicolor Dream blouse are in the studio recording a shitty, vapid Christmas song in hopes of squeezing a few dollars out of idiots who will pay for any tatty garbage as long as it has a celebrity's name attached. Holy shit.
This person is, like, bitter.
Right?
Like, honestly, this is less an indictment of the movie and more an indictment of this person. Like, this is one of the things this is again getting into dangerous territory. I think this is why a lot of feminist articles get the bad reputation they have, is because a lot of the time they're represented by people like this this sounds like a person who just doesn't have a whole lot of joy in their life, and they need to. They're using feminism as an excuse to vent that unhappiness. Like, because feminism has good points. It has legitimate grievances. But as long as it's represented by people like this who have, like, this sort of just a... Honestly...
I kind of call it, like, malpractice.
Yeah, it's just... Yeah. I mean... just those two... That last line there, there's so much vitriol and hatred in that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we've got to watch this, come back to it next week, and talk this. Because I think, if you've seen how long this document is, I mean, it's like 10 pages long, this review.
I kind of want to read it.
Right? So I think that'll be a good thing for next time, maybe.
Okay, but we still also have to watch the rom-com with David Tennant.
The rom-com with David Tennant?
Remember the one, Runaway Bride, or whatever the hell it was called?
Oh,
Decoy Bride.
Yeah, the one that you did just after Doctor Who, right?
Yeah. Decoy Bride is what it's called.
Gotcha.
Pretty good.
We're going to have a lot of, like, chick flick-esque.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice break. Well, I mean, we just watched Redline for the last one, so...
This is true.
That one was very much not a chick flick.
No, not really. But anyway, we should get on to the third segment.
Yep. All right. This has been what? So for the third segment, we're doing just a teaser. We're going to be talking about weird conspiracies that we've read about. So just stay tuned for that. But this is going to be the end of segment 2 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and hopefully you will stick around to hear us rant and rave about stuff we know nothing about.
Nice.
Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on segment 3, our wild card, which this week we're trying something different. It would have normally been us talking about an audiobook, but that didn't really come together. Blue had this idea about talking about weird conspiracies that we had heard about that are funny for the most part, and just really weird and out there. Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster type shit. And as I'm still laughing about this, if we have leftover time, we may talk about some of the stupid articles that Blue was finding over the break, because just that last thing that we talked about kind of led us down a rabbit hole that maybe we'll bring you down as well. So stay tuned. If we run out of the conspiracies too quickly, then it may come to that.
Yeah.
Although, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, I have been bushed this week, and that's why we couldn't do the reading one, because I haven't had enough time to read a book. And I've also barely had time to look at the conspiracies, so congratulations already to you, Kazi. You passed, and you had content for this segment. And I am very eager to hear the tales that you tell. I want to know all about the Illuminati, and,
I don't think... maybe this one's connected to the Illuminati. So the first one I found, just jumping right into it, is the theory that by doing hallucinogenic drugs like mushrooms and shit, DMT and all that, you can communicate with interdimensional aliens.
Well, yeah, obviously.
So, this theory goes further than that.
Okay.
So first of all, just the premise is that by using these drugs, it opens up an interdimensional gateway in your mind so you can communicate with other dimensions that are parallel to our own and speak with aliens and sometimes communicate with the dead. And it depends on who you ask, but the alien one was funnier. Sorry, keep going.
No. I interrupted you. Go on.
The theory behind the conspiracy piece of this, because if it's just a weird druggo theory if I stop there, but the conspiracy bit of this is that that there's a cabal of elite people out in the world that know that this is true, and so what they've done is they go to these meetings and they actually use these drugs to go into these other dimensions and negotiate with the aliens to give them technology and power. And they use that technology and power to control the world.
Hang on, so why do they need other groups to be able to access the drugs to talk to the...
Well, they don't.
Oh.
But it's those groups. It's the cabal of, whoever.
It's just a closed circuit drug ring for aliens.
No, the aliens don't take the drugs. The aliens are in the other dimension.
I mean, a drug ring, comma, where you meet aliens.
Oh, yeah. Well, so essentially the conspiracy part of the conspiracy theory is that there's some kind of Illuminati-esque organization that take drugs and negotiate with aliens to get technology and power so that they can control the world.
Yeah. Whatever fucking grad student came up with this idea, I bet he's laughing his ass off getting all these free drugs.
I mean, I want to think that he came up with this theory on drugs.
Well, yeah, probably. Where he's like, I can get other people to buy my drugs, and then we'll call it a group thing, and then...
So, the bits that come out of this, and I think this is probably a natural evolution of this, is that certain hallucinogenic drugs, in particular they've been used in, religious rituals throughout history. The one that springs to mind most readily is peyote, which is used by a lot of Native American tribes during their religious ceremonies, and they use it to go on these spirit journeys and things like that.
Yeah, spirit walks.
And so there is an element of truth in that these types of hallucinogens release chemicals that kind of give you these out-of-body kind of experiences. People talk about in the 60s, during that whole hippie time, they were talking about going on a trip, these out-of-body, what was the famous guy, O'Leary? He used to say, drop out, turn off, and tune in, or something like that. It was some weird, catchy phrase that he did, just telling people basically to drop out of school and do drugs. I don't know. There's some stuff to it, but I just liked the idea of a bunch of you think the big corporate elite kind of people, they're there in their suits in the shadowy room smoking cigars, except instead of cigars, they're just high off of their fucking mind.
Yeah. When you said the whole drop out of school thing, my mind went to that Australian advert with the mines.
Wait, which one?
The Australian staying school advert.
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh yes, you have. You surely have.
You may have sent it to me before, but I've seen a lot of the. I'm thinking of the one from oh, what was it? The one from the U.S. in like the 80s or the 90s, where like, this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs, and it's a guy just like making scrambled eggs.
So, so the Australian advert, it's not up anymore, but you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like these kids who bunk off of school. They're all in a group. They get in like a camper van. They drive to the beach.
Yeah.
They scramble under a wire fence to get to the beach. They're having fun. They're playing on the beach. They're like in their outfits and everything. Oh, throws a beach ball to this guy, right? The guy catches the beach ball and explodes in a shower of gore. And then suddenly all the kids all over the beach start like running, and then BAM! Explosion, they're dead. Another one, BAM! Dead. And it's just like raining guts. And there's like one girl left. She drops to her knees, like screaming. And then it switches to like back to a view of the camper van as it scrolls out. It's like a fence, and it says warning, like explosive testing ground. And then it comes up with stay in school, kids. And then there's a final explosion in the background.
What the fuck? That is so fucked up.
It is, but it's so funny.
That's some fucking Saw level shit. Like,
no, it's not. It is something that you
maybe it's a bit more low budget than what I'm thinking about, because in my mind I'm picturing like a scene from a horror movie.
It's I mean, if you want to do a jump cut, Kaiser, I could show it to you now, and we could like.
Oh my god!
If you want to do that editing, just like cut out a bit, and we'll jump back in.
Okay. Oh, this is we never do this, but there's going to be a jump cut in this segment because I need to actually see this. So, just for the purposes of me editing this file, I'm gonna cut it here. Holy shit! Like, I'm sorry. Just that's an advertisement that Jeremy Clarkson would make.
It really is, isn't it? Holy shit.
Because I remember he did an episode about cyclists.
Yeah.
And he made an ad that was very similar to that. Like, it was about, like, this guy who's just trying to get home to see his kids, and he gets run over by a bus because he was taking a bike, and he's like, it's like, work harder, get a car. And it was just like, oh, duh. Okay. It was just as bad as I thought it was going to be. Actually, it was worse because it showed them, like...
the hand, I forgot about that. Yeah.
It showed them being happy and, like, well, the thing that killed me, like, what it hurt me in the movie was just, like... They were having a good time, they were all being happy and enjoying youth, and it was a beautiful day, and that somehow made it so much worse.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, obviously you knew about what was going to happen coming into it.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea where it's going until it happens. And it happens suddenly, it happens extremely.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't even tell you that it's like for a staying in school thing until the very last scene.
And it was the hottest chick that blew up first. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, yep. So moving on. I just got that.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That was daytime television.
How? How is that daytime television? What the fuck is wrong with Australia?
Stay in school, kids.
Like we had like bad drug PSA videos in the US too.
Yeah.
Which those videos, by the way, through like, market research, they found that they are completely ineffective.
Oh, okay.
Because the kinds of people who are going to be, fucking off and doing drugs, they're not like future-oriented people in general, and most teenagers aren't. Like they tend to be people like those types of advertisements work on the type of people who are already not going to do those sorts of things because they're future-oriented. But the people who aren't, who are like what's referred to, I want to say psychologically, as present hedonistic in terms of their outlook, those people aren't going to give a shit about that advertisement. They're just going to do what makes, what's gratifying in the moment. Sorry, not to get too weird and technical there, but...
That's all right. Should we bring it back to the
Yeah, let's go back
theories?
to, I'm going to go to a more safe conspiracy theory. Holy shit, that legitimately bothered me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Like, I'll just need to not be such a pussy, but still, like, I think, and again, I think this goes back to something I've said on previous podcasts. I'm more bothered by, like, psychological horror than, like, gore or any other type of, like, spooky supernatural shit. And to me, that was a very psychological horror kind of thing, because it shows people just, having a good day, enjoying life, they're in the flower of youth, they're so happy, and then just abruptly, it's all just completely destroyed and replaced with trauma.
And the only way that could have made it better is that it then, like, switches back to the teacher who was, like, waving her fist angrily at the beginning. She's just on, like, her break.
So,
smiling away.
It could have... No, what would have made it better is it cut back to that teacher, and she is, like, operating a mortar.
Right.
Oh, my God. Okay. So, something a little bit more interesting. This one's less a conspiracy and more just a people who don't know how to read books kind of one.
Sorry, there was one other thing I was going to mention on the last conspiracy theory.
Oh, sure.
It did remind me a lot of the book that I read a while back on, like, the person who would go around allowing people to talk to aliens. Do you remember?
No.
Something Inside Universe or something, where I told you there's a story where she was like, so I can find your ancestor. And she found some person whose ancestor was like a medieval prince or something who wasn't happy, and he spoke to a strange person one day, and it took him to the stars. And
oh, yes.
That?
Okay, I do remember you talking about this.
Really fucking weird. But that's what that reminded me of. Except without drugs, I guess. I don't really know what's happening.
I mean, maybe they were on drugs when they wrote the book.
But yeah,
anyway.
Sorry, go on.
So the next one was about just medieval... The idea of medieval history, like there being a few hundred years missing. And so the theory behind this is that, like, sometime between the fall of Rome and the Renaissance, there were several hundred years that were just made up, essentially. Like, they corrected a calendar and suddenly it jumped from, like, 800 AD to 1200 AD or something like that.
Right.
I can't remember the exact years. I should have looked them up before I decided to talk about this. But that's the basic premise, is that there's a jump forward in history.
Was there a reason behind it? Like, people trying to cover things up?
It was... I don't think it was anything nefarious. I think it was more... Well, I guess in a sense, because the people who believe this believe that, it's the historians, the academics that just don't want people to know about this.
Right.
Because, oh God, if people knew that, this bit of history was made up, what would that say about the rest of history?
Okay, it's not just like Jeffrey from the town council at the time wrote the wrong year number or something.
Yeah, well, I think there's an element of that, because part of it was that, throughout, I think it was the correction of a calendar, like there being certain numbers of days that were missing and things weren't being corrected, and in the Dark Ages that, time wasn't being tracked appropriately or whatnot. It doesn't really stand up to reason, though, because two things. One, what we consider, quote-unquote, the Dark Ages were actually not that, like, dark. They were dark in comparison to the height of the Roman Empire, but there were still, like, bastions of learning. There was technological improvements. There was a lot of, politics and culture going on. And the other thing that makes this verifiably false is China. Like, China has written records going back, like, 5,000 years. We can see that those years actually happened. China?
Yeah.
Are we gonna, like, hold on, we've
every time China's mentioned.
We've made that reference before. I don't know if we've ever actually explained it.
Probably not. No matter what circumstance.
There was a video that Blue sent me that was pretty funny, and it was this guy talking about, I think it was a lecture or something that he went to.
So it was Lewis Brindley from the Yogscast. He was talking about back in the day when he used to do he was a chemist, I think,
Yeah.
and he was at a conference with a guest speaker who was like, he did something really amazing. And all of these, it was a Chinese person, but he was, I think...
It was an American of Chinese descent, if I remember.
Yes, that's what I meant. And so there are all these people asking this very important chemist all these very important questions, and it was not a live video call, as in people were not in the room with them; they were phoned in from a bunch of different places.
Yeah.
And one person put their hand up for a question. It was a Chinese reporter.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of were trying to find some way of linking this great discovery to
China.
To become China's
because the man was from, like, again, when we say Chinese origin, he was probably like second or third generation Chinese US.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't really remember. But this person phoned in.
Hold on. In the video, the guy who's talking about it says that the guy was very American. Like, he was,
Oh, okay.
I think the way they phrased it was, if there was a burger and some guns around, he'd be like, yeah, I like those things.
Yeah. So yes, this reporter phoned in with a question, and they're like, so Mr. Wang, China?
That was
the whole question.
Because it was basically summarizing the fact that the question was really just about how can we link this famous person who's not from China to China. And so just because his ethnic makeup was Chinese, and the question just boiled down to China. So whenever we make that reference on the podcast, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, referencing that video. Sorry, anyway, that was a big tangent. Let's go back.
But yeah, so the whole made-up medieval thing. This one was just kind of a short, fun one that I remembered, which is what I needed after watching that fucking video. Is that, it was just... It's pretty easily debunked, but it has to do with the changes in, like, the calendars, the fact that a lot of... there's not a lot known about certain eras in medieval history. A lot of it is traced through, like, lineages. And, yeah, it's just a silly one.
Seems just like a clerical error, yeah.
Yeah. The other one that I found really funny was the idea of, historical resets. So what they... the theory is that, like, every few hundred years, or going back like a few hundred years, there's just been like this forgotten technology and this forgotten portion of human history. Like, in essentially entire civilizations have been completely wiped out and forgotten about only a few hundred years ago. So the idea being, like, you see buildings that have things that look like windows in their bottom stories, but are, like, essentially below ground level.
Okay.
You have, like, all these pictures that were taken of what look like, cities, but they're completely empty. People forgetting that maybe the picture was taken in the morning when no one was outside.
Right. You are making me think of something that is actually real.
Okay.
And that's in I think it's London.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of houses that have that, like, are a normal house front, right? Mm-hmm. But that's all they are. They're literally just the front of the house. And I think they did it because when we were going to be bombed, it would look like just a row of houses that could be bombed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It
It
all comes back to the Blitz.
I mean, very strenuously saying, look up these facts on your own. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, that was the case. There's like faux houses where they're just put there to stop the casualties from being too high.
Oh yeah, I should
Yeah.
point out that this entire whole conspiracy like little
I mean, yeah, that kind of
discussion,
speaks for itself.
it's all stuff
Yes,
that it's mostly casual knowledge. Like I didn't really do too much digging into these things. These are just things that I heard about being conspiracies, and I was like, these are funny. Let's talk about them.
You can theorize.
We are in no way experts on these things. Which what's the phrase that I got made fun of using too often? Which two guys having a conversation.
Yeah, that's one of the bingo cards.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I don't even know if you can really call conspiracy theorists experts in a field, because I mean, it's mostly bollocks, isn't it?
So this is something that I've always had a problem with. Is I feel like conspiracy theory, like when you talk about or conspiracy theorist has taken on a very negative connotation, and I don't think that's deserved, because there are conspiracies. There always have been. In fact, up until the modern era, conspiracies were the norm of politics. Conspiracies was how things were done. Like you ended up with that's how you ended up with secret societies. That's how you ended up with guilds. That's how you ended up with different like royal alliances. It was all conspiracy. Conspiracy is just some people, usually clandestinely, gathering together and conspiring to do something. And nowadays, people, when they hear conspiracy, they think aliens or, the Illuminati's coming after us or something like that. But that's not really what it is.
That is the general person's view. But there are, I did do a little bit of looking up conspiracy theories for this. There are more and more conspiracies being brought up every single day, and we are purposefully avoiding any of them that are particularly violent or involve like real world people today. There are so many conspiracy theories revolving around the presidency right now.
Oh god,
and some of them are very violent, some of them are very disturbing, and that's why a lot of conspiracy theory channels on YouTube have been banned recently.
I mean, I think that, like, for the last... Just speaking about the whole... The presidency has always been something that has had a lot of conspiracies around it. Particularly in the last, like, half a century. I mean, the last 3 presidents, in particular, have had so many conspiracies around them. And so, like... Or conspiracy theories, I should say. Like, when I say that they have so many conspiracies around them, makes me think that, makes it sound like I think they're all true.
They're true,
I don't. I think, like, I want to point out that I think that... How do I'm trying to phrase this delicately. I think it's very important to always be skeptical. It's very important to always question the things that you're told. But at the same time, you have to realize that what's the I think it's Occam's razor. Usually the simplest solution is the true one. So like if you see something that appears to be conspiratorial and you have to go through a bunch of different hoops to make it make sense, it probably isn't true. It might be, but it probably isn't.
And yeah, some conspiracy theories, as crazy as they are actually true. Like what the fucking Alex thingy, the Turn of the Frogs game.
Yeah, but that was just a misinterpretation of the data. I don't want to say his name on here because I feel like that's just inviting
one of
problems.
The catchwords? Okay.
I don't know if it's bannable, but I don't want to get into that area of YouTube. But yes, so that was based on like a data, like a study that found. So frogs and other amphibians, their gender is actually determined by hormones, and their cells are malleable enough for them to actually change their gender based on the hormones that they're exposed to. And there are certain chemicals that are used, and in amounts that are perfectly safe and within environmental regulations for humans, will actually cause frogs to switch genders from male to female or female to male. and you can actually have a fully viable... It's the difference between amphibians and primates. They actually are able to, like, completely, like, change their physiology after they're fully grown. And these chemicals, which are harmless to humans, were not harmless to... Well, not... I wouldn't say they were harmful to frogs, but they caused this reaction in them.
Yeah. Is it bad that I'm currently thinking about a way that we can get away with putting 2 gay frogs in the thumbnail?
Damn it. The thumbnail's your job. Just don't make it too...
No, it won't be raunchy, don't worry.
Oh my god. But yeah,
it's gonna be an Australian advert. Sorry, go on.
But it's just... I think the important... The 3 conspiracies that I picked are things that are completely ridiculous for a reason, and things that have already been kind of... Well, except for the the interdimensional aliens, I can't say is disproven because there's no way to prove
otherwise. Yeah,
I don't even know how you would go about testing that.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the other 2 have been fairly roundly disproven.
Yeah, we're not looking to break any new ground here. We're just looking to find something. Maybe it's funny. Maybe it's a little bit interesting, maybe it's a bit of fun, and just give an idea of some of the crazy ass shit that people come up with, or some things that may have a grain of truth in it, even if it's not how we initially interpret it.
But I really, personally, that's why I like alternate history channels that go like, oh, what if this one event changed, or something like that. I'm a fan of, like, I never dismiss anything out of hand. Like, if somebody comes to me and says something that I think is completely false, I'll at least, give it some thought, and if not try to humor the idea, try to figure out exactly why I don't believe it's true. I think that's a healthy thing for anyone to do, is to have some measure of critical thinking.
Yeah.
Never...
So, moving on to the next controversy, I believe that penguins are the next evolution of koalas.
God damn it. I was taking a drink. Oh my god. Oh. What? Aside from the fact that they're completely different species, existing on completely different continents...
Whoa, alright, think about it this way, alright? At one point, the polar ice caps were deserts, right?
In theory. We're going
exactly.
back maybe a couple billion years, but go on.
And even longer before that, all the land was the same. So, theoretically... I don't know where I'm going with this.
You really do not know where... Jesus Christ. But although, fun fact, the Sahara Desert used to be a very verdant and green, place.
What if a koala rided a narwhal all the way to the South Pole one day? Actually, 2 of them, because there used to be 2.
Well,
and no, actually 1 of them, and they fucked a fish or something.
That's not... Oh my god. I'm in so... My brain... What are you even talking about right now?
I don't know.
First of all, what's a narwhal? Wait, no, that's a horned seal, isn't it?
A horned seal. Oh my god. How do you not know what a narwhal is? For shame, Kaiser.
I'm not British.
The stupid ideas that you come up with.
Hey, I'm not Scotland, who has a fucking unicorn as their national anthem. Or animal. Their national anthem. It's like they don't even sing, they just roll out a unicorn. And look serious.
Oh, that's amazing.
We have gone so far off the deep end. Oh, yeah. What is even happening?
Right, sorry. God. A narwhal, it's like a small whale with a horn.
With a horn on it, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it was some kind of aquatic creature with a horn.
It's a sea unicorn.
Oh my god.
Oh, have you seen... Oh, what
do we want to talk about something a little bit more sane before we end the podcast?
I was going to talk about sea rabbits.
Fuck it.
But I think they're not called that. They're like... Oh, what are they called? They're like tiny water rabbit things.
We've moved on to mythical creatures.
No. Alright, for a start, narwhals are real. And
Wait.
second of all,
Bullshit, narwhals are real.
oh my god, are they not? Hang on.
Narwhals are not fucking...
Narwhals are real.
What? Hold on. Pull that up. No, I'm still looking at your screen. Pull that link
Oh,
up. Well, okay. No, go back. Actually, pull up the wiki article. They... How the fuck are they real?
Because they're weird. They're real. They're real.
No.
Size compared to the average human.
What? Are they extinct?
No.
How are these real?
I can't believe you did not know about the unicorn fish.
I thought that they were... I thought they were like a...
Complete skeleton.
I thought they were a fantasy thing.
They've got like nose horns.
And
yeah,
they still
real.
exist? They're not extinct?
Yeah, they're still around, I'm pretty sure.
What?
Like Tusk.
Oh my god, no, 100%, I thought that these were a fictional creature.
Narwhal swimming in the ocean.
What? I'm completely speechless.
Oh, sad face.
I had no idea that these things were real. Hold on, click on that picture there, the one next to the boat. Yeah. What?
It's a wicked fucking horn, isn't it?
How?
Mind blown. I need to find these sea bunnies now because they're adorable.
Wait,
Also,
I thought you just made that up too.
there, here we go.
What the fuck?
Sea bunnies! They're so cute!
Okay.
They've got like ears and everything.
There are animals that I thought were... What the fuck is it? It looks like a little... Honestly, it's like a caterpillar with rabbit ears, but it's underwater.
A type of sea slug called Joruna parva. Most are less than an inch long.
I still can't get over the fact that narwhals are real.
Unfortunately, sea bunnies cannot yet be pets. Damn.
Oh my god.
Do sea bunnies have predators?
I'm...
This slimy slug has some predators and prey. Prey? What the fuck does this kill? Sorry, go on.
Probably amoeba or something like that.
Yeah, like mollusk or some kind.
Yeah, I just... Holy fuck. I don't know if I can recover just from knowing that narwhals aren't fake.
How can you not think these things are real? Look at them.
What you have on your screen right now is how I can think that they're not real. They're portrayed as some fucking rainbow unicorn thing that you put on a greeting card. They're not like... How was I supposed to know this was a real thing?
Our love is unique.
I just do not... Oh my god, my brain.
Brokenkaiser.exe.
I think...
Shall I get you this?
Yeah, I think we... No, let's... I think we gotta end the podcast, because I can't even talk anymore. What the fuck am I...
Let's go.
My mind is just blown. Alright, do you have any... Do you have any final thoughts? Or...
No, it'll just break you further.
God. You're not gonna tell me unicorns are real, right?
Oh my god.
Because I just made fun of Scotland for them. Holy shit. Alright, whatever. This is going to be the end of episode 32 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening. And hopefully next week's podcast will be just a little bit more sane.
A wonderful, magical, narwhal-y new week.
Jesus fuck.